everybody. This is Emily at EaseCentral. So you should see my screen that says Renewal Best Practices, how you can do HR and benefits with ease. So that's the screen I'm showing. For our agenda today, we will be going over open enrollment best practices. We'll go over open enrollment management, the support and guidance that you have via Beere&Purves and the EaseCentral team, and then we will open it up for questions. So please don't be shy. We're here to help. So I'm sure you know what the life of a broker is like, especially in fourth quarter. It becomes 100,000 times more busy than your normal life is. So EaseCentral is here to help. Our system is built for brokers by brokers. So we know the pain points that you have as a broker, so we want to make your life a little bit easier. So for our meeting today, we'll go over the open enrollment setup checklist. I'm hoping that you guys have all taken a look at that already in our help desk. We're not going to go through every single task just because we only have an hour and I want to make the best use of everybody's time. So we'll go over sort of the main points and we'll review what it looks like from an employee's perspective, things to be on the lookout for before you roll it out to your clients and all of those sorts of things. So just as a quick refresher, employees also have access to the portal, not just on their laptops, but also on their smartphones. So they can complete open enrollment on their phones. So make sure you remind employees that EaseCentral is very accessible and that they can create and complete their open enrollment at any time. So let's just jump into our meeting in just a sec. We'll just go over the changes checklist. We do want to make sure that you're going over tracking progress, email employees that are in a not started or in progress status, reviewing the enrollment changes report, generating forms or census files, disabling custom plans, and closing the plans after open enrollment. So this is more things that we'll focus on once open enrollment is complete. So with that being said, let's log into our portal now. So I'm going to log in as a broker. So this should look familiar to you. So this is the dashboard. So this is going to show you companies that are currently in open enrollment or those that have ended within 1 week. So I have a company already ready to go. We're going to use this as our portal. So one of the first things we'll want to do for our open enrollment checklist is make sure that we have already built the new plans. So what I've done in the essence of time is I've already built the majority of my 2018 plans. So we're being very proactive in having our open enrollment in, let's say, September for a January renewal. So a little bit early, but I'm thinking that's what most of you guys will be going through. So I have already duped and pushed my 2017 plans, but I left one for us to do together. So this is the one I have not yet done. So what you'll do is when you are ready to do your renewal, you'll come into actions and you'll add your plan. If you're using a plan library, you can pull from that, but let's just assume we're copying the existing plans. Let's say this enrollment is very simple and all they're going to do is have the same plans in place but new rates. So my plan type is medical. And one of the things that I like to do when I'm doing a renewal is I set the plan type and then I pick the plan that I'm choosing from. I think it's this Silver OAMC. Let me just double check here. Yes, okay. So I'm going to add my plan, medical, and I'm going to dupe the Silver OAMC. So what that helps me do is if this pulls it up, I can now type in the name exactly as it was last year. So just a pro tip, just for helping you to remember what the plan was named last year and help it keep it consistent. So I'll put my effective date of 1/1, and then I do want to use our renewal assist. So what this is going to do is copy the plan from last year and move the enrollments from that plan to the replacement plan. So you can even do this if the plan is not exactly the same plan. Let's say the Silver OAMC is being replaced with a Silver OAMC. Maybe there's a $2,500 deductible now instead of $2,000. So that is the replacement plan that employees will be moving into. So you can just scoot them over. It also helps because the employees are being moved into the replacement plan, so you can let them know, hey employees, we've moved you to the corresponding replacement plan, so really you'd only need to log in if you would like to change. That's an option for you if you'd like to use the dupe and push or the renewal assist. So what it will do is it will set the available start date. It does this 90 days from the plan start date. So I'm just going to back this date up because we're being proactive. So I'll just have this set to 9/2. And then it also auto-populates the plan end date. So this is a 1-year plan. And then all I need to do, if I'm keeping the plan the same, is just update my rates. So I can pull in new rates. So I can set the rates from either the EaseCentral or the Beere&Purves library. And I know since we're sort of early for 1/1, some of the rates have not yet been loaded. So we'll just pick a generic plan real quick. We just have Utah for EaseCentral. So let's see Beere&Purves. Do we have your rates yet?
No, the January rates aren't out yet, so okay. So ours aren't going to be in there. So maybe a 9/1 would be good.
We'll back that up. Maybe try 7/1. Okay, let's do EaseCentral ones. Okay, let me try this again. Okay, let's pretend this says medical, and then you'd bring in your plan, you'd select the rating area, the plan name, and then it would bring the rates in. So let's pretend this worked as expected. So now the rates for 7/1, let's pretend this is 1/1/18, brought in all of the rates that were in the library. So this will be auto-populated. The contributions from your prior plan would also be brought in. So in this case, the employer is contributing nothing. So it basically copies everything that was in the prior plan. So if you have new documents to add, maybe a plan summary, maybe an updated link to the provider directory, you can add that on the Documents tab. You'd also want to add any forms if needed. It does copy, again, the one from the prior plan year, but if there's a new form, let's say CalChoice, because we know they have form updates, every 5 minutes, you'd want to put the new form on there. So we're going to do that with all of our plans. So we've added our Aetna Silver 2000 OAMC with a start date of 1/1. So we did this previously with all of our other plans too. So we have our 2018 dental, our replacement 2018 LTD, FSA, and Vol Life. So those plans are already built. So you'll want to do that for all of your plans going through renewal. Pull in your rates, type them in if they're a dental or vision plan, make sure the right forms are on there. Okay, now what? So next step is you want to turn on open enrollment. So what I also suggest doing is testing this before rolling it out to employees. Testing is a huge part of your role. You just want to make sure that you didn't fat finger a rate. So instead the rate is showing as $500 instead of $50. And while the testing may take, it doesn't take a ton of time, maybe 10 minutes, those 10 minutes will save you hours of headaches because you don't want your employees or the client's employees to find the mistakes and come to you, because that'll make the employer look bad, and we don't want that. So always test your work to make sure everything looks as expected. So what we're going to do is have our open enrollment start today. So I put this in the past because I'm testing. So open enrollment is now on. So what you'll want to do is log in as your employee. So we'll put our start date as today, and we'll just give a generic end date. What you also want to do, if you're keeping last year's plans open, in the event that the client has any new hires that are going to come on, let's say they're going to be on the old plans for 1 or 2 months, and then they'll want to make their new hire elect or their open enrollment elections. Check the customized plan box, and then that allows you to put specific plans in open enrollment. So I had already put my other plans in open enrollment that I had already built, but we just built this one, so I want to make sure I have that box checked. So what that will do is if you have any new hire employees that are still in their new hire window that are electing during open enrollment, the system will give them their new hire elections first and then allow them to complete open enrollment. And that is if you have the customized plans box checked. So just keep that in mind if you do have any new hires coming on during open enrollment. If the client happens to be delayed in getting you their employer contributions, we know that happens from time to time, and the effective date of the plan has already passed. So let's say today we're having open enrollment for a 9/1 plan. You'd want to check this late open enrollment box, and what that will have the system do is look for plans that have an effective date in the past. So if I had a 9/1 plan that I was trying to have open enrollment for now, I'd want to check this box. So these are the plans that have open enrollment on them. So what we're going to do is log in as an employee. Because open enrollment is on, we want to make sure it looks right. So let me log in as Dougie, my puppy. So he's going to go through the process. If there's any demographic information that is missing from his record, he would be prompted to fill it out. So if you have, if you're loading the system with just very minimal information, maybe just employee name and birth date, anything that you guys require that is missing, the employee will be prompted to fill that in. So if they're missing their address or their gender or their birth date, they'll want to fill that in. If they have any dependents, they'll want to do that here. Dougie is a single pup. He doesn't have any children, so we'll skip that. If the company has any documents that they want the employees to review or sign during the open enrollment process, maybe there is a new rate sheet they want them to see, or maybe they have a new handbook they want them to review, they can add those under the documents section and set them to review required. Dougie's already gone through and completed these, so he's just able to bypass those. So we duped and pushed his enrollment from last year's plan. So what the system will show him is that this was your current election. So this is what you had last year, and this is what you can move to this year. It also has the cost. So the employee can see if there is, a big increase in cost or a big decrease in cost. So it gives them an idea to, oh yeah, I was in this plan, I'm going to keep that same plan. There's also links to the different summary of benefits. If there's a provider directory, you can list that here. We do have some videos as well on some of the other plans, so you can add those. If there's employees that maybe aren't that familiar with benefits, they want to know the difference between an HSA and an HMO or a PPO, you can add videos or other documentation that will help them decipher those benefits. They can also compare plans. So it shows all of the deductible information, their costs for prescription drugs, doctor visits, etc. So it shows them what they're currently enrolled in and then what will happen if they move to the other plans. So it helps the employees make an educated decision about what plan they want to move to for open enrollment. So I'll just keep clicking next through all of my plans. He's not making a lot of changes for open enrollment. If they are enrolled in any benefits that require a beneficiary, they'll be prompted to provide beneficiary info before they can sign their forms. So once they have made all of their elections, they'll see their form. So what you'll want to do as a broker user is double check to make sure your forms are being populated as expected. Is the demographic info on there? Is the plan name box being checked? Our system is driven off of the admin and display name of the plan. So in your testing, if you see if a box is not being checked, first, make sure there's an app on there. That's a lot of times the problem where you guys forget to add an app. That's going to cause the system not to check a box. So check that first. If the plan is or the app is on there, great. Now make sure your name matches the application, because our system looks at the application and looks at the name of the app and makes sure that's on the display name or the admin name field, and the box should be checked with the employee's selection. So just skim your plans to make sure everything is being checked as expected. You can always add a universal app if you're not collecting applications and you just want something for the employee to sign to show what they're enrolled in. You can add that to any plan type. That's what this one is. And then, so I'm the employee, everything looks great, so I'm just going to sign and then continue. So it shows them their open enrollment summary. They can print that if they like, otherwise they can click next. And they can provide feedback here. So maybe they have questions about their benefits, or I'm confused, or I don't like our benefit offering. So we suggest reviewing the feedback report. We'll go over that in a few minutes too. Otherwise they'll click finished and now they are done. So Dougie can log out. He'll receive an email notification letting him know that his benefit elections were complete. So employees receive notifications when they're done doing their benefits. So we checked our plans to make sure everything looked okay. We did our dupe and push. So what's next for open enrollment? Next thing we want to do is reset progress. So you can use our progress section as a way to notify employees, remind them that they need to finish their open enrollment selections, or maybe they haven't even logged in. So one of the things you'll want to do before rolling out open enrollment is reset the progress. So I'm going to reset it. So everyone will go back to not started. And it will let you know who reset it. So if there's ever a question like, wait, I came in yesterday and everyone was, in the middle of something and now they're reset, it will tell you who in your broker portal reset it. So now employees are not started. What I can do is message employees to let them know, hey, open enrollment is starting, please log in between this date and this date. You can customize the message here. All we ask that you do is leave everything in brackets as is. That'll be pulled from the employee's profile, the name, and then the URL will be pulled from your branding link. And when the employee clicks on the link, it'll take them right to the sign-in page. If the employee has never logged in before, maybe they're a new hire during open enrollment, if they've never logged in, they will be prompted to select a password upon initial login. So just know that that will happen automatically. So we'll reset the progress. We'll also want to make sure, we'll want to monitor this, every couple days to see how things are going. So as you roll this out to your employees, they listen to your instructions and log in and make their choices. This not started number should start to change. You should see employees move over to the in progress section, which means they've logged in and sort of started. Maybe they have done their medical, then they got a phone call and stopped. When they're finished, that means they've signed their forms and provided any missing information. So if they didn't have an address or there were documents that they needed to review, they're finished when all of that has been completed. So just know the system is not going to let the employee sign forms if there's anything outstanding on their profile. You do have the ability to message just specific employees. So you can message those that are not started or in progress as a reminder, hey, open enrollment is ending in a couple days. Hurry up. Do you have questions? If you needed to send it to everybody, just add the finished people too. So please use this to stay on top of who you need to notify for open enrollment reminders. You can also run a report here to see a listing of who is in which status. So it would list the employee's name and what status they're in. So if you need to know individuals, to reach out maybe individually, you can run a report here. Okay, so a few other things that we want to go over before rolling out open enrollment is on employees' profiles, if through the year you're maybe using the benefit eligible date under the coverage tab. This is typically used if an employee has a status change or they need to have an override done where the system is going to give them a different effective date outside of their new hire window, open enrollment, or life event. So we want to make sure that we clear these out before we roll out open enrollment. Additionally, if you have any employees that have remaining deduction periods, so if they're a mid-year hire and their FSA needs to be prorated because they're only having, 15 deductions versus 24, we'll want to clear those out. The quickest way to do this, to see who needs to be cleared out, is to run a census. So I ran a census a little bit ago. This is just a general employee census. So there's certain fields I want to take a look at. I want to look at the remaining deduction periods field and the benefit eligible date field. So if I see that there are employees that have these on there, I want to clear these out because this will affect any benefits that are using remaining pay periods like FSA, HSA, or 401k. And then benefit eligible date 2 could also affect the employee's effective date for open enrollment. So we see that Zach has this on his profile. So I'm just going to delete this. And I'm going to go to the coverage tab and delete the benefit eligible date. Great. So that's one of the things you want to go through. This is also listed in the open enrollment checklist too. So please follow that as your guide to things to make sure that you check off before you roll this out to your employees. Another thing we want to take a look at before starting open enrollment is our lock enrollment page. So typically, this is depending on the employee status, they would be green if they can make an election without a qualifying event. They're unlocked, which is yellow. That means they can go into the system and only make a benefit change if they have a qualifying event, which is probably the most common thing that you'll see on your employees. Or if you've locked them, they will be red. So there's one of two ways to lock employees. You can either set a date in the past on the company-wide lock enrollment date, and that will lock everybody until you remove this date. So one thing to keep in mind if you're using a lock date is that if you have any employees that need to make life event changes, maybe they got married or had a baby, they would need to come to you or the company admin to be unlocked. So just know it might be a little bit more work on your team if you are locking the portal from employees. The other way to lock people is to check the padlock. So you'll note that this is only something that can be manually toggled. So before you roll out open enrollment, take a look at this page and make sure you don't have any locked employees. What some companies also do is if they want to prevent employees from making changes after they've submitted their initial enrollment, let's say they're a new hire, they go through, they submit their paperwork, and then you lock them. If the employee changed their mind, maybe they thought, you know, the PPO is too expensive, I want to be in the HMO, they would have to come to you to be unlocked. So that's what some clients do, is they lock the employees manually to prevent them from logging in. So just make sure you unlock them before open enrollment starts. So everyone should be green when open enrollment is on. So we have that, so we're good. Another thing to keep in mind with open enrollment is, are there salary updates that need to be done? So depending on the way your plans are written, you may need to update salaries on employee records and update their benefits. So if that's the case, there's a couple ways to do this. So if you have salary updates, you can either manually add them to the employee's record by going to their compensation, updating or adding their new compensation. Let's say this is going to start yesterday. A reason, and then we'll add this. So then you could go to any benefits that are salary based. I believe we have LTD. And then we'll just save this. So now it has the new amount based on their new salary. Previously, they were at $17.50 because of their old salary. So you can manually update the employees with a new salary. That's one option. The other option is to do an import of new salaries. You can also import the new benefit amount. And we do have a template in our help desk, which I suggest you take a peek at if you have to do any salary-based benefit updates. We have a salary and effective date update that you could use. It does tell you how to calculate the benefits that you're importing. So for example, if someone is having a salary increase, let's say they're moving from $45,000 to $50,000. If they have any disability benefits that are based on a percentage of their salary, you don't want to import that $50,000 as their STD or LTD benefit amount, because that's not what their benefit amount is. Their benefit amount would be, say, $2,500 or maybe, $500 for their disabilities, STD. So you want to calculate the amount of benefit they're going to have for those plans. And we do have a solution here that outlines the more common ways to do those calculations. So take a look at those. We also have all of our templates down here for those imports. So again, if you have to do any salary-based benefit updates, you can do them manually or via an import. While we're talking about salary-based benefits, let's quickly review what we'd need to do if there are any GI updates that need to be done. So if you have any voluntary life plans where maybe the employee is only allowed to get a certain amount for open enrollment or as a new hire, what you'll want to do is take a look at their record and see if there's any existing GI amounts. I think Zach might have some on his record. Let me take a quick peek. Yes, it's on the coverage tab here. So what will happen, the way this is currently set up, is Zach can get $70,000 without needing evidence of insurability. So depending on your plan rules, you may need to either update employees' guaranteed issue amounts or add them to their profile. So let's do a scenario where the employee can increase their amount of coverage by 1 increment without needing guaranteed issue. So the fastest way to likely do this is to run a census of your employees, and then you can import their guaranteed issue amounts. So let's do that real quick. We'll run a quick census here. Another tip is I like to have the reports tab open as a separate window. It just helps from going back and forth and jumping from company to company. So I can quickly access my report in my reports tab, and then I can go back to the company that I was on. So what we can do on our, actually, let me run a different census. I want to run a census of people that are enrolled in the voluntary life plan. We'll use last year's plan. So what I'm going to do with this census is I'm going to determine who needs to have coverage loaded based on their existing enrollments. So the census will list all employees that are enrolled or waived. So what you can do is take a look at who is enrolled and see their coverage amount. So these people that all have an existing coverage amount, they can go up by 1 increment without needing additional guaranteed issue. So there are fields to help you import guaranteed issue amounts into the portal. They are on our all-inclusive template, which is in our help desk under the censuses. And the headers are as follows: GI plan types, GI amount, and GI date. So what I would do is I would add these 3 columns to my census. And then I'm going to import the amounts that these employees should be able to increase their coverage. So my plan type is voluntary life AD&D. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste this all the way down in case even my waived people want to elect. So this employee, I think this is Big Bird. No, this is Zach. So Zach has elected 70,000. So based on our open enrollment rules, he can go up 1 increment without needing guaranteed issue. So I would load his GI as $80,000. The system would say, okay, you can elect 80,000, and then if you elect 90, you'll need guaranteed issue, or you'll need to complete an EOI. So I would do this for everybody. For those people that waived previously, depending on the rules of the plan, you could either enter $1 if they have to have EOI for any amount of coverage, or if they can elect, 10,000 without needing EOI, you can put that amount in. So let's say it's $1. So anything over $1 would require EOI. So you would just populate those amounts on the employee's import here, and then we'll put our GI date. We just want to make sure this is a date in the past. So I'm going to use yesterday's date. This doesn't affect their coverage or anything like that. It's not going to say that they're effective or that they get this amount as of this date. It's just for record keeping purposes. So I would load these amounts. I would do an import, and this would populate on their coverage tab. And then when the employee was going through the enrollment process for voluntary life, it would tell them, you have elected an amount over guaranteed issue, please complete the EOI document, which is listed as a document on the plan, or should be. So a little bit complicated, I know, but if you do have any plans that have guaranteed issue amounts, this is the fastest way to get them updated to allow employees to make those open enrollment elections. And then once you get notification that the employee was approved or denied that extra GI amount, you can just go to their record under the coverage tab and update what amount they have. That's under here, under guaranteed issue. Okay, so now that we've made sure that we've kind of cleared out all of the older information, either from guaranteed issue from the prior year or new higher enrollments, we've cleared out remaining pay periods, and we've cleared out the benefit eligible date, what is next? We've also tested our plans, everything looks good, our apps are populating properly. Next thing you'll want to do is send out the notification that open enrollment is on. You can do this from one of two places. You can do it from the Progress tab, Actions, Message Employees, or you could do it from the Logins tab. If you're doing it from the Logins tab, just send it to all employees. Just pick Actions, Send Login, and then you'd want to tweak your message. So in either place, either the Progress tabs or the Logins tab, you can just tweak the message to be whatever you want it. Just make sure you don't touch the URL because it will not send if that's not on there. So if you're sending an email, you want to make sure that the IT department of the company has whitelisted our portal. There have been some instances, depending on the client's spam settings, where emails may get blocked. So it's a good idea to send our IP addresses. We do have those in the help desk as well, to the IT department, just maybe, you know, the day before you're sending out the notification, just to make sure employees do not receive those emails. What you could also do is send a test email maybe to the HR admin and make sure that they're receiving it. But again, we do have the IP addresses to whitelist in our help desk. So we'll make sure that you do that. So you can send this out, and then once employees receive that email, they'll log in and make their open enrollment selections. So we'll start seeing the progress change. So employees will change from not started, they'll go through in progress, and they'll ultimately end up in finished. So make sure you monitor this. You can also monitor this from your dashboard. So if we go to our companies list, we see that Zach's Yummy Kitchen is in open enrollment and there is no one started yet. So this is helpful if you have a bunch of companies in open enrollment. So again, I'm on my dashboard. This is what I'll see when I first log into my broker portal. It lists all of the companies currently in open enrollment or ones that had open enrollment end within a week. It lists the progress, how many employees are in the portal. So take a look at the progress section and just monitor that. So if you see that it's still at 0 a week after open enrollment starts, you probably want to send out a reminder, hey, let's make sure you log in for open enrollment. What I also suggest doing is maybe once open enrollment is over, oops, let me go back to this one, I'll use my reports tab, is review the feedback report. So again, this is all of my company's feedback. So if I just want to select my one company that I'm having open enrollment right now, I can change my company, and this is the feedback that my 2 employees that have gone in recently have given. So what you want to watch for here is if someone has a question, because we do see that employees sometimes pose questions to the feedback, they're not sure who it's going to, so please watch these. Bunsen Honeydew had a question, where can I find more info about our prescription drug coverage? So you or the company admin may want to reach out to that employee and let them know, hey, you know, we have a plan summary here, or let me, you know, update the link. It just might help in case you're watching this. Maybe there's additional notifications that need to be added to the portal if you're seeing a lot of the same questions. So that's under your reports tab, under feedback. Again, it will be for all of your companies. Another thing that you may want to provide your employees before open enrollment, let me go back to Zach's company. Under our reports, we have open enrollment summaries and current summaries. So you may want to do this before open enrollment starts, is give them a copy of their current summary. This would show them, hey, employee, this is what you're currently enrolled in. If you're using the dupe and push feature, you could then, or even in lieu of the current summary, you could tell them, hey, employee, this is what you're going to be enrolled in, by giving them the open enrollment summary. So that would show them, hey, this is what I'm in, I'm fine with it, this is my cost, I don't want to make any changes. So just know that these are on here under reports. So you can choose to give those to employees, before open enrollment, after open enrollment, sort of like a receipt. So those are on the reports tab under benefits. Okay, so let's say open enrollment goes off without a hitch and it's done. So what next? You probably want to know who made a change. Who do you need to do something with? So there's a few ways to double check. We have an enrollment changes report. This will tell you any employees that changed from the plan that they were pushed from. So that's very important to keep that in mind, is it's looking at their old plan that they were pushed from and looking at their new plan. So if they stayed in the same plan with no changes, they kept the same tier, so employee family coverage to employee family coverage, they will not be listed on the enrollment changes report. It's only changes. So you would select the plans that you want on your report. We'll just check our medical and dental. And I'll run our enrollment changes. Go to my generated reports section. Have this open up in Excel. Okay. So it shows us who made a change as well as what plans. So the bulk of the employees have done their medical changes. So if they change plans, it will tell them. It will tell you here. So for example, this person moved from our old Blue Shield full PPO to our Silver 2000. This person moved from the dental HMO to the dental PPO. So these are people that you have to take action on. Maybe reach out to the carrier to tell them, this person dropped a dependent or changed plans. It will also show if the employee had waived coverage and now enrolled. So use the enrollment changes report to help you identify just those employees that made changes. If they're not listed on here and they were enrolled in the plan, that means they did not have a plan change. So they stayed at the same tier and stayed in the same plan that they were pushed from. You can also run apps to only include those that are changes. So under enrollment forms, you have the ability to say, I just want certain employees. So maybe if you have a brand new hire that you need to pull forms on and you just want theirs, you can put their name here. Otherwise, at the end of open enrollment, you can run just changes only. So you can check that box and it'll just bring up those with changes, and it does pull from the same data that is running the enrollment changes report. So those same employees should show up here. As well, you can also include only those forms that have signatures. So as you know now, if you pull forms, previously it would pull forms even if they were blank and had not yet been signed by employees. So if you only want those that are signed, you can check this box and it will pull those forms. So that's how you can reach out to your carriers and let them know, this employee changed from this plan to this plan. So please take advantage of those reports that we have for you. Let's see, what else do we want to cover on here? If you do have any questions during open enrollment season, please feel free to reach out to our support team at EaseCentral. We can be reached via email, support@easecentral.com, or via phone, 702-800-2690. You can also use our help desk. And to access your help desk, you just click on your name in the top right corner, click on help. It will open up our help desk portal. In here, we do have our open enrollment best practices checklist. Please use this, become very familiar with this for the renewal season. It will make your life very easy. We lay out each step that you want to do to handle your renewal changes. So basically what I've said, but in a probably easier to follow format here. We also have all of our census templates in here. So if you do have to import new employees, import salary changes, we have all of those as well as a little bit of detail as to each report. So please use that. The phone number is also here for our help team, and you can also submit a ticket this way. You can also submit it just via email as well. So quick reminder as far as our steps for handling our open enrollment changes. So the first thing we want to do is dupe and push our plans. So let's make our updates to the new plans, adding in new rates, adding in new contribution schedules if necessary, any new forms that need to be added for the new plan year. Set your open enrollment dates. Be sure to test at this time. So add a test employee, log in as them, make sure the rates look right, all of your links on your plans work, your applications are being populated correctly. Make any corrections if needed. You may also want to have perhaps the company admin user, have them log in during this testing phase to make sure everything looks as they want it. Maybe they think, can we add a video here? Can we add additional documentation here? Maybe they'll realize, oh yeah, we have a new handbook. We want employees to see that. We should add that here. So have them log in. They'll be able to give you some feedback as well as provide another set of eyes, maybe to make sure you didn't miss something or if something is confusing. When you're setting up open enrollment, make sure you're customizing the plans. So checking the customized plan box. Another thing I want to mention is once open enrollment is over, please come in and uncheck these boxes and uncheck this box. We don't want the system to still think it's open enrollment, so best practice is to uncheck all of these once open enrollment is over. If you need multi-carrier waiver forms, a lot of California clients need this. What it is the system will populate the waiver on the other plan that the employee is offered. So let's say there's a Kaiser and a Blue Shield plan, and Kaiser wants the waiver form populated if the employee takes Blue Shield and vice versa. What you'll want to do is come to the Customize tab here and make sure the multi-carrier waiver forms box is checked. This is by default on, so you're good if you need that. If you don't want it on, uncheck it. It's also another time to review what you have set for the Customize page. If you only have employees going in at open enrollment, maybe there's not a lot of turnover, not a lot of life events, make sure that you're only asking for things that are truly needed. Sometimes people have, county on here or citizenship when they're not really things that are needed for any of your apps or your reporting purposes. So maybe review and make sure that you're only asking for relevant information. What we also suggest too is reviewing your instructions. So you might have had some information from last year's plan. So this is under Customize Instructions. So just review, make sure everything is okay here. You'd also likely see this when you're testing too. If you see a note from your team that says, welcome to Open Enrollment 2015, that should jump out as you as, oh wait, it's not 2015 anymore, I need to update that. So double check the Customize Instructions section. Make sure you have everything set up there properly. Reset the progress on the progress page under Benefits. Reset. You'll also want to clear out any benefit eligible dates, remaining pay periods, as well as update any guaranteed issue amounts. Have the IT department allow our IPs to come through. There's a link here in the Open Enrollment Best Practices checklist that has those IPs to pass on to the IT department of the company. That will ensure that all of the emails come through. And again, double check this, maybe send a login to the HR department to make sure they receive it okay. During open enrollment, you'll want to monitor the progress on the progress page. You can message employees from the page to remind them, hey, log in, open enrollment is almost over. Do you have questions? Are you stuck? Once open enrollment is over, you can pull your changes either using the forms, enrollment changes report, or enrollment forms, and just pull the change forms, or those that have changed, excuse me. And then if you are having a late open enrollment, and late open enrollment is the plan has already started and is currently in effect, on the open enrollment page, make sure you check the late open enrollment box. And a tip is when you come to the open enrollment page, if no plans show here, check this box. That will bring in the older plans, the ones that have already been in effect for a little bit. So double check that. And then once your plans are closed, so let's say all the company's new hires have already enrolled, so there's no need to keep last year's plans open, you'll want to come in and close your old plans. So if you just add a date in the past as the available end date, so if we make this date yesterday, it will close it today. So this is our high deductible PPO, so this should no longer show on our plans page. So it's no longer here, but it is under our closed page. So right here. So once open enrollment is over and no more new hires need to enroll in last year's plans, please close your plans. So I think that is the majority of the items we wanted to review. Again, make sure you become very familiar with our open enrollment best practices checklist. This will make your life much easier. And then if you need to make any updates to employee records en masse, to update salaries, if you want to clear out benefit eligible dates or remaining pay periods, please pull a census and use that to review any employees that may need to have updates. So are there any questions for us?
All right, Emily, it looks like we have one question to answer. So if anybody else has any other questions too, please feel free to ask them right now, and but we'll start out with this first one. So the question is, if the carrier changed the plan name for the new year, how do I change the name when duplicating the prior plan?
Okay, so what you would do is, let's say we're going to add the plan. So as I mentioned, I'm going to pick my plan type that will then allow me to dupe my previous plans. So let's say we're doing this one, Aetna High Deductible PPO. So all you would need to do is when you're typing in the new admin name, let's say it's not going to be called High Deductible PPO anymore. It's going to be called PPO 5000 or something. You would just type in a new admin name, add an effective date, and then if you're copying the plan, like the guts, the rates, the contributions, you can still do that. So let's do this. So we'll add this plan and you'll see, oops, let me put a start date on there. So the name is now what we entered, PPO deductible 5000, but since we copied from last year's plan, it does list the prior plan on there. So you'd still be able to run your enrollment changes report, detect who made a change. If anyone stayed in the same plan, it's not going to show them on the changes report, but if they moved from one plan to another, it would show that. So this is more of just a cosmetic change for a plan. So that's all I would do, is just when you're duping and pushing, just change the admin and display name to whatever the carrier is now calling it.
Cool.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. So, so yeah, feel free to ask any questions. I'll just wrap up and say thank you very much to Emily. We're very happy to work with EaseCentral. They're very responsive, so use their support as you need it. Also, we have some internal staff here at Beere&Purves that can help you set up groups, manage your open enrollment. So feel free to contact your B&P sales team for more information, or for us to help answer some questions as well. So if there aren't any other questions, I think we will wrap up right now. Oh, Emily's got up that page right there, but we will send out a follow-up email with the information and some contact information for any support questions you may have. So thank you again.
Thanks everybody for coming.